of the extreme atrocities that we are seeing there. We have a group of very special guests that we are very thankful to have with us today. And we welcome each one of them. However, at this point, we want to start with our friends in Teaneck, New Jersey. And the reason why we want to start with our friends in Teaneck is because they are in the middle of an action, and they have sick from genocide rally and a healthcare worker contingency standing up against genocide. And they have a very, very special guest, Dr. Shaima Alloh. Dr. Shaima is the sister of Dr. Hammam Alloh. Dr. Hammam Alloh is one of our heroes. May he rest in peace. Allah yarhamu. And he exemplifies what it means to be a medical doctor who never leaves his patients.
In 2008,
a few days
I was in high school.
Doctor,
I didn't understand.
Okay, before Dr. Alloh was murdered by the Israeli forces, he gave an interview where he explained very clearly what it means to be a medical doctor. He said, "Do you think we went to school and get educated for 14 years to leave our patients? We will never leave our patients." He continued to take care of his patients until the very last day when he was murdered. Allah yarhamu. Teaneck, if you can have Dr. Alloh join us on the Zoom, please do. If you need a few more minutes, let us know and we can bring you in whenever you are ready.
Today we stand on the land of the Lenape people. We stand on blood and bones that paved the way for Zionism. But we're told, we're led to believe that international institutions exist to prevent this absurdity. That's what they've told us. That's what they fed us. We live in a world of morality, of humanity. We live in a different age. What does that look like now? You tell me, what is that experiment that they sold us, that they shoved down our throat, that they told us applies to us also? Where have we gotten with that? They're trying to what? Criminalize the ICC, right? I mean, look, right? From an analysis perspective.
Dr. Alloh will join us as soon as the speech is over. So give us a few minutes. I think this is one of our care workers who joined as well.
And then they run with it. They run with their denial. They run with their hate. They run with their dehumanization.
Wasim Kanaan, chairperson of AMP New Jersey chapter, is the one who is speaking.
Spoken. They want to gaslight us. They want to gaslight us into believing that we are wrong. They want to gaslight us into believing that we are violent. They want to silence us. They want to take this video, these words. They want to weaponize it. They want to say, I don't belong in the reasonable world because I, one who's fighting against genocide, against injustice, am the unreasonable one. They want to gaslight us. But what they don't know is that we will say, take it all. Take it all from me. I am ready. Take it all. Because today, tomorrow, and forever, we will never stop shouting. I don't know how proponents of Zionism sleep at night. I really couldn't do it. I really couldn't. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. We have crossed so many lines as a species with the Zionist state's onslaught on Gaza. The harm cannot be undone. But corrective measures can be taken. Real, substantive, honest. My brothers and sisters shared the demand, and we stand behind those demands. And those are just our immediate demands. What precedent has been set? What world do we live in? A world of genocide denial. A world in which lies prevail over the truth, despite the hard truth and information being readily available. And this will not end well for anybody, including those perpetuating these crimes. History shows us tables turn, new oppressors rise. And if you're sitting at the top of that oppressive system, that's not going to last forever. I don't even know what to ask of these so-called elected officials in this country anymore. I don't even know what else there is left to say. Shame on you!
Shame on you!
Shame!
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 We demand from the international community immediate arms embargo. We demand, with whatever humanity can be found by these people who occupy the halls on Capitol Hill, whatever ounce of humanity you can find, stop hiding, stop lying. Truth, we know it will prevail.
That's right.
You only hide for so long. You will be held accountable. You will be held accountable. The atrocities are too heavy. The oppression is too stark. The reality is too prevalent. There is no hiding. The mountains of information is available to us. We know it. We see it. It's there, whether you like it or not. We demand that the elected officials in this country respect international warrants for the war criminals of the Zionist state and all of those involved in perpetuating this genocide. We demand a U.S. arms embargo on the Zionist state. And that is what we demand. And we will not go any later.
That's right.
To the people, stay steadfast. Sumud in Arabic. Remain steadfast, because truth will prevail. I said I don't know how Zionists sleep at night. I struggle to sleep at night. But what puts me to sleep is that, first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. And then that the truth will prevail. and the truth will be on our side. Continue as much as you can. I know it's exhausting. Continue. Sign your petitions. Get outside. Reach out. Be effective. Join these gatherings. Thank you to everybody who's joined today. We will not stop. We will not rest. Work within your grasp. Whatever union you are a part of, wherever space you sit, they want us to be silent, but we will never be silent because our brothers and sisters are absolutely, we will never let them go. I was going to say priceless, but I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know how to express what the people of Gaza mean to me. I don't have those words. I'm going to be honest. Demand that they stop the insanity. Demand a full withdrawal of the Zionist state from all historic Palestine. Demand it.
That's right.
Whether they like it or not, demand it. Settler colonial terror has played out. It's not over, unfortunately, at this time. But it's playing out, and we see it for what it is. And lean into your truth. Be proud. Lean into your truth. I know my truth, whether they like it or not. And again, take it all. Take it all. Take it all. The people of Gaza have sacrificed tremendously. I see my baby crying and it makes me cry because I wish for the people of Gaza, the babies of Gaza, to cry what she's crying about. Because she wants to wear her Mickey Mouse underwear. Not because she can't find a wall to lean on. Because she wants a banana and not a cucumber. And not because they can't find anything to eat. And I'll end with saying, I haven't thought this one out or written it down yet, but I want to say it because it matters to me. We talk about the people of Gaza and we see our kids, our community, our people, and we say, oh, well, you should see, or what about the people of Gaza? Well, the people of Gaza, what they're going through is not normal, right? And so we shouldn't qualify our reality to say, oh, what about the people of Gaza? No, we go to the people of Gaza and we say and we fight for them to have our problems because their problems should not be the standard. It's not normal. It is not normal. What is happening is not normal. And I'm proud to say that over and over again because I know that when I say that, I'm the rational one. So we're going to do a call out and call back. We're going to highlight the various hospitals that have been destroyed in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in the West Bank. I'm going to say, and you repeat after me, inshallah this goes smoothly, and if not, we'll keep trying. Bismillah. Indonesian hospital!
Indonesian hospital!
International Eye Hospital!
International Eye Hospital!
Al-Ahli Arab Hospital!
Al-Ahli Arab Hospital!
Turkish Palestinian Friendship Hospital!
Turkish Palestinian Friendship Hospital!
Kamal Adwan Hospital!
Kamal Adwan Hospital!
Free Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya!
Free Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya!
Al-Quds Hospital!
Al-Quds Hospital!
Al-Shifa Hospital!
Al-Shifa Hospital!
Al-Auda Hospital!
Al-Auda Hospital!
Yafa Hospital!
Yafa Hospital!
Khalil Suleiman Hospital!
Khalil Suleiman Hospital!
Nasser Medical Complex!
Nasser Medical Complex!
Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital!
Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital!
Jordan Field Hospital!
Jordan Field Hospital!
The Palestine Red Crescent!
The Palestine Red Crescent!
Al-Amal Hospital!
Al-Amal Hospital!
Gaza City Clinic!
Gaza City Clinic!
Haneen Hospital!
Hanim Hospital,
Masih El Jebel Hospital,
Masih El Jebel Hospital,
Ibn Sina Hospital,
Ibn Sina Hospital,
and Jenin Government Hospital.
Jenin Government Hospital.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Israel, you can't hide!
Israel, you can't hide!
You're committing genocide!
You're committing genocide!
So this concludes our speakers portion of the press conference. Now we're going to move over to the question portion of the press conference. Questions are open from anyone, including audience members. Please keep in mind that we do not want to ask questions that are going to infuriate our speakers. With that being said, questions, or the stage is open for any questions.
So we are thankful for our colleagues in Teaneck, New Jersey, for their action today and event in support of the healthcare workers in Gaza. And if I go, who will take care of my patients? I did not go to school for 14 years to abandon my patients and leave them alone. Our people are not animals, and they do have the right to health like anyone else. These were the words of the late Dr. Hammam Alloh, the Gaza hero, the medical hero, who was murdered by Israel last November. And we are all here to support him and his colleagues, including Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya, Dr. Alloh's sister, Dr. Shaima Alloh, is actually part of this protest in Teaneck, New Jersey. We are sorry we missed her speech, but hopefully she'll be able to join us soon. But for now, we're gonna move on with our program. We do have a diverse and very interesting schedule of events today. I'm gonna start with Dr. Hawash. She's gonna talk about our event at the Hill and Congress last week. Then we'll move with the schedule from there. Karameh?
Thank you so much. So briefly, we were in Washington, D.C. on the 8th of January, and this was our biggest event on the Capitol Hill. We were joined by over 50 medical doctors and nurses and veterinarians and advocates, and we visited more than 16 offices. We presented to them our demands to free Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya and free the medical professionals that are there. I think after being on the Hill for over a year, we have made some connections. We started to know who the staffers are, and we feel that we are able to press more on them since we have more name recognition and they know that we are there. Not all the offices are the same, but some offices are better than others. What we realize is how unwilling to do anything, even when they believe that there is something that needs to be done. So what our strategy is going to be is actually to present to them ways to have to do things, like how to ask for the release of Dr. Abu-Safiya by calling so-and-so and by doing this and that. So we will be communicating with them throughout the month of January and February until we go on our next big day on the Hill, which is going to be on the 19th of February. On the 19th of February, we already have over 40 people signed up, which is a very large number, but we need to be there in the hundreds. So please sign up. We will have the links in the questions and answers and the chats. Please join us. It does make a difference. We are better at it. We think that we know how to get things done in a more effective way. It will be a new administration. There will be new challenges, but we will be ready for the new challenges, and together we will be, inshallah, hopefully make a difference for our people in Gaza, our people in Palestine, and all the justice causes that we need to uplift. So please look for the link to sign, and if you have any questions about the actions on the Hill, reach out with info at Doctors Against Genocide. Reach out to us on our WhatsApp groups, Signal groups, and we can build a bigger movement in 2025. Dr. Jbour?
Yeah, thank you, Karameh. So yes, please join us. Numbers matter. The more of our colleagues nationwide who can join us in DC for the Congress Advocacy.
We just got notification that Dr. Alloh is ready. Do you want us to actually tune into her?
Yes,
And then we will continue with our programming.
Perfect. Yeah, so Dr. Alloh, is she around? Doctor?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Shaima? We are honored to have you here. We are Doctors Against Genocide, and we are live streaming, and we are proud to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for holding and for all your efforts to support Palestine.
Thank you, and thank you for all what you did. Allah yarhamu al-Shaheed Dr. Hammam, and thank you for your event today. What do you want to share with us about your reflection on the event today and what's happening in Gaza, please?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate and very heartbreaking. And honestly, it's like I'm speechless. I continue to be speechless. It just breaks my heart to see this is going on for more than a year still. I remember when I was in Gaza back in 2008, I attended the first, let's say, bombardment from the airstrikes war in Gaza 2008, 2009. We stayed there. My daughter was like 2 years old. It was horrible, and it didn't last more than, I believe, a month. And it left bad memories in my mind, and flashbacks and everything you could imagine. Since then, and this was like nothing compared to what has happened since October 7th to the people in Gaza. And it's just like, I can't describe how traumatic this is. And it's even like, 1,000 times more destructive, I want to say. And plus, of course, I lost my family members. We lost our house that I grew up in Gaza. My brother, who was a physician, Dr. Hammam Alloh, I think many of you now know him from the media. He was like my, was the youngest brother, was 36 years old, very ambitious, very dedicated to his job, to his work, to his patients. He worked with a heart, and he taught all of us a lesson, about how honorable is our profession, and how much you could offer emotionally and in real life to your patients. So he was there. He refused to flee south, like any other sister. When it comes to your family, you want to make sure they're safe. So all I cared about is like the safety of my parents, and for my brother and his family, his wife and kids. So I was like on the phone day and night with them since the war started. And when people started fleeing south, I begged him several times to leave and go south, because all I cared is, of course, number one to me is their safety. He refused, and he said, "I'm not going to leave my patients," and he insisted on staying there. And he he held that to the rest of his life, and even after that, he held that honor. And the lesson he taught me and everyone is now all over the world. I also lost my dad in the same bombardment, and maybe like 10 other family members. Thank God my mother has survived. Hammam's wife, Noor, and their kids, three kids, 5 years old, 4 years old, and 4 months old, survived. They went through atrocities after that for like about like 3 4 months because they fled from house to house. They fled to the Shifa hospital, which was close to their house, and they were under the siege. When the military attacked the hospital and seized the hospital, they were inside the hospital, and I was devastated totally here. I couldn't get a hold of them, except like maybe a few minutes a day or every 2 days. They were surviving on dates, on a few bites of bread, which somebody managed to make it in the hospital, and, bread and khubz za'atar in the hospital. That's all they had to live on. And they went through things that I could never imagine that this could happen to anybody. Um, uh, yeah. So it's just what makes me sad is still continuous and going on, happening to everyone, to so many other people who I know, who I lived with, my family, my friends, people who I share memories with, and it's still going on. And I really encourage everyone to speak up and to do what they can do by anything they can do, speaking up through social media, spreading the word, spreading awareness to support Gaza people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shaima. We are so sorry for your loss of your
Thank
brother
you.
and your dad. Allah yarhamhum. May their
Allah.
souls rest in peace, and God protect your nephews, your
Ya Rab.
mother, and the rest of your family. And as you said, the genocide is still ongoing. That's
Yeah.
makes our work the much more important. We have to keep advocating to stop this genocide, immediate ceasefire, protect the people of Gaza. Dr. Hammam is a medical hero. He's a Gazan hero. He's a role model for all of us, and he teaches all humanity and all the medical community in the world what it means to be a doctor, not to abandon your patients. Stay with them until the end. Do all what you can. That is the real medicine, the real meaning of medicine, of our profession, of our humanity. And may God give you the strength to continue to advocate and be strong. It must be hard. I cannot imagine, honestly, being in your situation. But again, I'm sure we have role models like Dr. Hammam, and we should all try to live up to their model. And thank you for joining us, Dr. Shaima. And inshallah, we'll stay in touch and stay strong.
Inshallah.
Oh, Allah yarhamhum.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Shaima. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
So there is also another event coming up January 25th. It's in Geneva, Switzerland. It's for an international medical community event.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It is an international medical community event. It's planned to advocate for our colleagues and healthcare workers in Gaza. The plan is to try to have as many healthcare workers and organizations from all over the world to join forces to Geneva. It's going to be about 5 days event of camping in front of the WHO, the UN, and the International Committee of Red Cross to bring home the plight of the medical community, the voice of the medical community, to demand that no hospital, no healthcare worker should be targeted, that these spaces should be protected at all times, that there should never be an excuse to attack hospitals, healthcare workers, and to demand an absolute healthcare and medical neutrality. So anyone who is interested, please reach to us. It's we only have 10 days or 15 days to organize for this. It's kind of we don't have too much time, The event is still being planned as we go. We will have more information as we go. But we are planning to have a delegation from the United States and North America, from Doctors Against Genocide, and there are many other European countries that are joining, and international countries. We will share with you more updates as we go, but anyone who thinks who can make it is going to be, the plan is to make it a historic event for an international healthcare community to stand up for justice against genocides. And the more of us who shows up to this event, the more impact that we can all have. So thank you for that. Again, we will give you more information as we go. Now, it's my honor to introduce Maysa Hawash. She's a proud Palestinian American Canadian. She's a founding member of DAG, whose tireless dedication and unwavering support have been instrumental in advancing our mission from day one. She has been working day and night behind the scenes. Maysa has been a driving force in our fight against genocide. Beyond Doctors Against Genocide, Maysa also is the founder and CEO of ScaleX, specializing in human resources management. We are thrilled to have her with us today during this Zoom session. Maysa, welcome. Thank you for being with us. You have been a big help for us behind the scenes, and we are really honored to have you speak today.
Thank you, Nidal, and thank you, everyone. And it's an honor to be here. And to be quite honest, after 15 months of witnessing this genocide, I feel that words are inadequate because a lot of us feel that we failed. We failed to save our friends and families back in Palestine. I want to start by saying Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon each and every one of you. To begin, I want to acknowledge that the land I'm standing on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. From Turtle Island to Palestine, to all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up, for waking up, and for refusing to look away. As a Palestinian, your presence here is not just an act of solidarity, but a declaration that you will not be complicit in silence, that you will stand where others might fall. As Ghassan Kanafani once said to us, Palestinians, to liberate our country, to have dignity, to have respect, to have our mere human rights, it is something as essential as life itself. I also want to thank you for your leadership, for showing up today. Leadership is not about titles or status. It's about showing up when it matters most. It's about the courage in the face of fear and the willingness to carry the voices of those the world has tried to silence. Today, we carry the voices of Gaza's children, their laughter, their dreams, and their cries. They echo through us, they echo through you. And when you feel doubt, because you will feel doubt, and doubt will creep in, when the weight of this work feels so heavy, I want to ask you to remember Hind Rajab. Hind Rajab, who called for help as she witnessed her entire family get murdered and then was killed in cold blood. Over 335 rounds were fired on the car that Hind and her family had been in. Remember her and let her innocent and hopeful face anchor you back to certainty. At Doctors Against Genocide, we know too well that medicine should never be an elite profession. It should never be an instrument of colonization. Medicine must be human first, medicine second. Leadership in medicine means rising to defend humanity, lifting the voices of those who have been silenced, and using our privilege while sacrificing our comfort. True leadership demands that we confront injustice head-on, amplify the cries of the oppressed, and fight to make healing a right, not a privilege. Friends, the struggle for liberation and equity are always deeply interconnected. Just a few days ago, where I live in Toronto, an unhoused woman tragically died after spending a night out in freezing temperatures. Our political system and our politicians work tirelessly to push the narrative of division and othering. Isn't that ironic that they insist on funding the military industrial complex instead of caring for the welfare of all people? This interconnectedness reminds us that fighting for justice in one place is a fight for justice everywhere. From Gaza to Congo, Sudan, New York, or beyond, the call to stand for humanity and equity transcends borders. Today, we are witnessing the greatest act of complicity where health institutions remain silent and refuse to take on their role as healing societies and building equitable systems. We are witnessing the greatest betrayal by our political and medical systems that instead of putting humans first, continue to put profits first. Not only this, but they actively silence and oppress the brave healthcare workers who refuse to remain complicit and are risking their jobs to stand up against genocide. We must honor the heroic act of Gaza's doctors, those who stood firm even as the world looked away. Today, as we heard from Dr. Alloh's sister, we honor his heroism. We honor his steadfastness, standing in the face of danger and being so painfully human when he answered why he wouldn't leave. And he said, if I go, who treats my patients? We are not animals. We have the right to receive proper health care, so we cannot just leave. We honor Dr. Al-Burj, who was illegally abducted, raped and tortured to death by simply being a doctor. We honor the hundreds of healthcare workers in Gaza who were murdered simply because they stand for humanity and for the sanctity of life. We're still heartbroken and deeply concerned for the safety of our friend and colleague, Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya, a pediatrician who endured immense pain and loss, but remained steadfast. The loss of his son, the loss of his colleagues, and the destruction of his entire hospital. Dr. Hussam's mother just passed away a few days ago, not knowing if her son is safe or not. As of now, Dr. Hussam and 450 of his colleagues are illegally abducted and missing. And why? Because when the intention is to dehumanize us, the sheer act of saving lives and humanizing us becomes a great threat. This is what we're dealing with. An empire that once is gone, only mentioned as statistics, nameless, faceless, and lifeless. Their courage is a reminder that medicine is not just about treating wounds, it's about fighting for justice. It's about fixing broken systems, not just broken bodies. Medicine must dig deep to address the roots of suffering, oppression, inequality, and colonial systems that thrive on harm. And let us not forget the activist doctors, those who refuse to be silent, who demand more than bandages for wounds caused by injustice. They remind us that healing means more than survival. It means rebuilding what was shattered. It means dismantling systems of harm and building something new in their place, something rooted in equity, dignity, and humanity. As Dr. Asfiya eloquently shared last week, genocide is an assault on our nervous system. We are asked to denounce and shut down our humanity. We are asked to look away and extinguish our life force, which is empathy. This incongruency, this demand to betray our own humanity is what is making us sick. It is why we must resist, why we must reclaim our empathy and our connection to one another as an act of defiance against systems that seek to dehumanize and divide us. We are sick from genocide, sick from showing up to work in oppressive systems, in institutions that not only turn a blind eye, but perpetuate oppression and target brave voices who dare to speak up. Let us show them that together we cannot be silenced. The voices of the collective are far greater than their attempts to drown us out. Together we rise louder and stronger, carrying the weight of justice on our shoulders and the voices of the silenced in our hearts. And as we work together to turn this ugly page, a page that may feel hard and heavy, it may feel like it is not turning fast enough. It may feel like all our efforts are gone in vain. But we all know that it is darkest before the dawn. That is why we need every one of us to live together. to remain steadfast and push this page so we can write a new chapter, one that speaks of justice, healing, and liberation. This is not a moment, this is the moment. And in this moment, we need everyone to rise and live together. This is how we turn the page in history, not as bystanders, but as authors of something new. To the doctors, nurses, and medical workers, and all the brave humans risking their lives, not just to save bodies, but to save hope, thank you. To the activists and allies who amplify these voices, who face fear so the world cannot look away, thank you. The world needs more human leaders, leaders who carry the weight of the broken, the displaced, and the forgotten. Leaders who rise not for recognition, but for responsibility. Leaders who let humanity guide them, who speak truth to power, and who are willing to sacrifice comfort for justice. Let us keep going. Let us carry this truth, this urgency, and this love. Let us honor every soul lost by building a future where no one must endure what they endured, and let us never forget. Silence is complicity, but together our voices can shake the world. To end, I want to quote the words of Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. Thank you, Free Palestine, and may peace be upon you. And now I would like to introduce my friend, Nabiyre Pereuth. Is a Ugandan artist, medical illustrator, poet, and organizer with the global campaign against racism, Equal Health. Based in Kampala, she advocates for health equity and social justice through storytelling and poetry, addressing systemic challenges at a global and local levels. Pereuth leads grassroots organizing under the Campaign Against Racism Uganda chapter, focusing on the impact of structural racism on health in the global South. Her work explores themes like colonial debt, racial capitalism, health effects, and misinformation in global health. Currently, she leads a Cancel the Debt subgroup, highlighting the health impacts of post-COVID colonial debt on women and youth. Welcome, Pereuth.
Much for sharing this and for the introductions. My name is Pereuth Nabiyre. Kindly let me know if I'm audible enough as we proceed. So yes, I would really love to share a poem with us, and this poem was read on the day when we had a break off as in solidarity with our colleagues on 6th January, on medical healthcare workers. And it was derived from the stories of healthcare workers that have been shared over time on Instagram about what is happening in Palestine. And it also derived from the inspiration of a message from Doctors Against Genocide. So kindly allow me to read the poem with us. Thank you. So the poem, I titled it Because I'm Sick. So it's a just to say it's a first person narrative, because I mean we had to really step into the shoes of a healthcare worker and really in Palestine and Gaza, and like really tell the story and really tell their mind, really tell a reflection of what is going on in the mind of healthcare workers in Gaza. So because I'm sick of death, I am broken and splitted into pieces never replaceable. Crawling with patience, 500 meters in hope and despair for at least a glimpse of a doctor. In hope and despair for another chance to live. 15 months of choking on my promises for a better tomorrow, because tomorrow may start without me. 15 months of battling with vivid memories of children turned into shadows and unknown fate of those inside hospitals. Today has lasted, but tomorrow the sky might be my witness that cannot weep. Oh, I sob. I cannot move. I cannot pretend the rhythm of life continues. Not when the screams of pain in hospital echo louder than alarms. I cannot move. Not when the butts of the rifles hit my head, chest, and stomach. The routine I once clung to feels obscene in the face of so much undone. Promises and vows have been made to prevent what we have endured, all engraved in the fragile walls of international order. But all seems like lies, systems incapable of halting the massacre and genocide in the face of the world. What a shame. Oh, I sob. Hopelessness seeps into me, turning into sickness. I am sick, sick of deafening ears to our cry, sick of failing to save a life of a child, for the ICU has been set on fire and I'm on orders of evacuation. I am sick because I am sick. I cannot show up to the pattern of the normal world. I cannot report to work. I cannot clock in while the death toll marks my hours of work. Do you hear us? Is the world still alive? Oh, I sob alone in despair. My sickness grows. It worsens in the silence of those who could act but do not, in the apathy of those who could stand but sit instead. In silence, in apathy, in my growing sickness, the number of deaths of targeted healthcare workers, families, and children peaks. I am broken, but to feel this sickness is to keep alive the flame of resistance, to remind the world that we will not turn away, that our grief, our sickness is a cry for justice louder than their bombs. Just to allow me kindly recognize those whose poem I derived this from. So this poem was derived from, like I said, a collection of stories reporting the current happenings in Gaza. It's an inspiration from a statement of We Are Sick, organized by Doctors Against Genocide. And in this, we had a report of a patient who was crawling. I mean, I collected different stories and structured something like a poem. So we had a reporting of an incident of a patient who crawled 500 meters it was reported by AI. I don't know how to pronounce it, but AUDA. Then there was a report, a story about an ICU that was fired, and it caught fire, but this is an ICU that was attending to children. Then there was a report by Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya, director of Adwan Hospital, about evacuation. I think he's also the same person who reported about the ICU ICU targeting of the ICU hospital. Then the nurse in Gaza also gave a testimony about following their release from the Israel detention, how they were beaten like really in the stomachs and like on the head, in the chest, and she was gushing blood from the mouth and the eyes. And there was also some bit of quotes from Dr. Junior, who says that this is the longest nightmare, knowing that we might be next in the list just because we were born in the wrong place. We've had surgeons also talk about fake humanitarian laws and rules in the international community. And I think maybe we can share more, but just a collection of different stories that were shared. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
can have it.
Thank you for your words. They're felt by all of us. And if it's okay with you, with your permission, if we can share the poem with our audience, and of course,
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Lidal or Karameh.
Nidal?
Yes, we're trying to get hold of Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya family. We have his wife and his son. Unfortunately, the net is weak. They might join us by phone without camera anytime. Once they are ready, we will notify you. Please, Maysa and Ribhi, keep on the lookout in the audience because we could not get a hold of them with the email. If you see Dr. Abu-Safiya family, let us know so we can get them on board anytime. It can happen any minute, but we will proceed with our program, and once we have them, we will give them an opportunity to speak. Again, thank you everyone for being here. Dr. Hawash, you wanna talk
Yeah,
about our colleagues from the Rohingya?
yes, and very briefly about the campaign to release Dr. Abu-Safiya. We do have a petition that is sent to all the representatives. We are going to there has been over 5,000 letters sent, and we are going to reactivate this petition so that people can sign once again. We want this to continue to be a very active act of demand, and the release of Dr. Abu-Safiya and the other medical doctors and professionals will also be our call to action in the Geneva collective medical action that Dr. Nidal described, and that we will be sharing heavily with everyone to promote and to make it stronger. So as we continue to be focused on our people in Gaza, we cannot forget about our people everywhere in the world, because we are humans and we share the humanity with every single human on earth. And we invited the young people of the Rohingya community from Asia Justice and Right Organization. Some of them are research fellows, some of them are members of Human Rights Watch. They also they have counseling, case management team, and we are very grateful to have the members of the Rohingya Genocide Prevention Research Network join us. We also invited Dr. Elisa von Heuden Forgy, who will hopefully join us, but we will start with our friends from Rohingya. Please start speaking and introduce yourselves. Islam, we cannot hear you.
You are muted, Islam.
Muhammad Islam.
I think he's muted. I think his audio is not working.
No, it looks like. We are also helping the team, the Rohingya team, and we started a fundraiser for them because we want them to be able to document, to make a documentary about education and about the oppressive forces against them, so that they can educate us. We, as Doctors Against Genocide, we want their voices to tell us their story. We never presume to take control of the narrative of any oppressed people. So while we're waiting for Muhammad to actually figure out his audio, I just want to explain that as we support them the way they wish us to support them with, and we do not make any assumptions on what is the best way. We believe that health is a human right for everyone, safety is a human right for everyone, and self-determination above everything is a human right of everyone. Try to speak
Did you
again.
hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. And please speak slowly because the internet is weak. So please speak very, very slowly if you don't mind.
Thank you. Sorry, due to the lack of network connections, we cannot able to make it happen. So thank you for giving me this chance. So we'd like to share with you about our presentation.
Yeah, we would like to welcome you, all of you, to our organizations, mainly Rohingya Genocide Prevention Research Network. Basically, we are focusing on the advocacy for justice and humanity, research, documentation, and advocacy. RGPRN is an alliance recognized initiative driven by the Rohingya researcher and advocate. Our mission is to document atrocities faced by the Rohingya, raise global awareness, and spread efforts to prevent genocide worldwide. Together, we aim to turn pain into the pursuit and sorry, due to the technical problem, we cannot show you what's here. So mainly we are focusing on the human right documentation faced by our people and research on a specific human right violation faced by the Rohingya. Fact checking, spread hate speech, misinformation, disinformation against Rohingya. In another points, within the Rohingya community, there is more than 95% of the peoples are uneducated and 85% of the peoples are unemployment. So we don't have also higher educational opportunity. So now have a thing that how can we make professionals and digitalized community within our people due to the lack of opportunity. Today, we also feel what's happening in Gaza because we are the same situation in the same situation. So we also feel what is happening in Gaza also because we are facing the same thing. RJ, basically who we are, what we do, and our impact according to what we are showing here. So RGPRN is a survivor lead organization dedicated to address one of the greatest humanitarian crises of our time. This is systematic genocide of the Rohingya people. Basically, what we do conduct rigorous research, documentation, empower Rohingya survivor by amplifying their voice and advocate global for justice, accountability, and policy reform. Our impact, influencing international policy and raising awareness to ensure a safe future for the Rohingya and other vulnerable communities like Gaza and Afghanistani refugees, something like this. Our mission is a world where humanity, human dignity, safeguarded and prevents, and justice is accessible to all. Our mission is to spread the truth of the Rohingya genocide, empower survivor, and advocate for global action to prevent further atrocities. Core value: integrity, community to trust, transparency, and accuracy in documentations. Empathy, centering humanity and the dignity of survivor. Collaborations, building alliance for a systematic change. Justice, advocating for accountability and equity. Basically, this is our project objective: documentation, advocacy, empowerment, awareness, and preventions. Introduction to the community developments. As you are seeing, community development is central to empowering displaced population and fostering resilience and the Rohingya people. Our focus area: leadership development, supporting the growth of future Rohingya community leader. Educational advocacy. This is the main focus of our organizations, promoting access to quality education as tool for empowerment, social cohesion, and encouraging collaborations with refugee community to overcome challenges. Yeah, this is our core program, like human rights documentation. research on human rights violations, and combating hate speech like fact-checking. This is what we collaborate with the Doctor Against Genocide medication support victim. Basically, this is for what the Rohingya who are facing ongoing war in Arakan, as we remarked that is second wave genocide, as we Rohingya remarked that the peoples who flew recently to Bangladesh, the Bangladesh government and NGO didn't provide any medication support to them. Like there is a number of people who are murdered and raped, boom affected, gun affected, something like this. So they didn't get any support from the Bangladesh community and then NGO. So we make it happen to support them as an emergency support. At the last of our core program is educational advocacy to make it happen to get access in the international level as educational advocacy. This is our motto: trust for justice, action for change, a commitment to uncovering fact and driving systematic reform, empowering survivor, preventing genocide, a promise to amplify survivor voice while shaping a set for future generations. This is who we are: leadership and expertise, collaboration, and unique approach. This is our main program, like we explained before. This is our conclusions. So we are very glad to request from all of you to feel our situations, what we are facing right now. Meet our team. So there is our team member who are working with us, like Rumi Islam. This is me, founder and executive director of this program. Muhammad Arif, deputy director. Shamsuna Shines, managing director of our organization, and Ziauddin, who is team leaders of BRAC and healthcare team leader. He is here as a medication director, and our chief editor, who is a photojournalist, Muhammad Imran. Thank you for having us with us.
Thank you so much, Muhammad, and the team. We really appreciate your work, and we are fully appreciative of all the challenges that you are facing. I understood from the team that higher education is extremely difficult, and part of the support for the Rohingya community is to uplift education, provide them with opportunities to get scholarships, and to pursue being community leaders so that they can uplift their community, in addition to ending the injustices that are happening on them. We hope that we will continue to work with them. We hope we will have more opportunities to understand the situation there and help correct the injustice and restore the community by showing them solidarity and support. Please donate to the link. We will assign all the donations to the Rohingya team. These young people have been able to achieve so much despite very big odds, and we have full respect to them and to their mission, and we are in complete solidarity with them. I think we will probably have, I don't think Dr.
Karameh,
Yes?
I have Dr. Hussam family on the phone, so
Oh,
we cannot join by email, but we have Dr. Hussam wife and his son Ilyas. They're on the phone with Gaza, from Gaza. Their internet is weak. They cannot join by video. But I'm going to be speaking to them now, asking them about how they're doing, about any updates on Dr. Hussam's situation, and I'll translate for you. إلياس كيف الحال؟ إلياس؟
تمام يا عم.
شو أخبارك؟
نعم دكتور سامعك. الحمد لله بخير الله يبارك فيك. الحمد لله دكتور.
إن شاء الله بضل بخير يا عم. كيف صحتك؟ كيف إخوانك
يا رب.
والوالدة؟
والله كلهم بخير الحمد لله رب العالمين. نقصنا نطمن على الوالد بس.
So Elias is here saying he and his family are okay. They're very worried about their father, and that is the most urgent thing for them now. في أي أخبار جديدة سمعت عن الولد يا حسام يا إلياس؟
والله يا عم آخر الأخبار اللي وصلتنا إنه تم تمديد اعتقال والدي حتى تاريخ 13/2 ومنع من زيارة المحامي حتى تاريخ 22/1 من الشهر الحالي.
So the last they heard about Dr. Hassam's situation is he's not allowed to meet with his lawyer until January 22nd, and his illegal detention was extended until February 13. حكوا لكم في أي تهم عليه أو أي شيء من حسام ولا لا؟
حتى اللحظة يا عم حكى للمحامي إنه حتى اللحظة ما فيش أي تهم، هي عبارة عن ادعاءات والاشتباه. حتى اللحظة ما فيش أي تهم رسمية تجاه الوالد، لهيك طولت وصار في منع لزيارة المحامي. يعني حتى اللحظة بقول لي يعني إن بتدل على إنه حتى اللحظة ما في أي تهم منسبة للوالد، لهيك تم تأجيل ومنع اللي هو زيارة المحامي. تمديد الاعتقال جاء بناء على خضوع للتحقيق.
So Elias saying that according or what they heard from the lawyer is their dad is still under interrogation. There are accusations about him, but there is no official charges. That's why they're not allowing anyone to visit him. And from what we know, usually from this Israeli practice, is they use force against the detainees to make them confess to false charges. So we're worried about this outcome, unfortunately. أنت كيف وضعك؟ كيف أمك؟ كيف إخوانك؟
والله صراحة يا دكتور يعني الوضع عشان أكون صادق معاك الوضع صعب كتير. يعني إحنا حالنا كأسرة تشتتت ما بين شهيد ما بين مصاب ما بين أسير، فالوضع كارثي جدا. وإحنا صراحة يعني عايشين في قلق وفي حزن شديد كبير على الوالد، وإحنا قلقانين كتير على وضعه ومصيره وعلى وضعه الصحي خصوصا يعني.
So Elias is sharing that his family is going tremendous distress. They just lost Dr. Hassam's son about 6 weeks or 2 months ago, and they also have their dad under illegal Israeli abduction. The situation in the family is very stressful, and they just lost their grandmother last week. They are still, of course, in Gaza in the north under constant bombardment and constant threat and risk. So we really need every voice we can have to mobilize for help of Dr. Hussam, his family, and all the people in Gaza. ايش تطلب منا يا حسام يا الياس؟ شو ممكن شو بدك؟ في دكاتره هنا، في عندنا اجتماع فيه حوالي 200 دكتور وعامل بالقطاع الصحي في امريكا. شو رسالتك لهم؟ شو حاب نحكي لهم؟
حياكم الله جميعا. والله صراحة يا دكتور احنا يعني بدنا كل وسيلة ممكن تساعد للإفراج عن والدي، وحتى نطمئن عليه أكثر وعلى وضعه الصحي، وحتى نساعد بالإفراج الفوري عنه. هاي كل طلباتنا يعني.
So yes, Elias and his mom are thanking all of you for being here, for trying to do the right thing and advocate for the people of Gaza. They are urging us to do all what we can to help release his father and her husband, and they are even also asking for us to urge to find where is his location, because we don't really know as of yet for sure the detention facility that he's being held at. Unfortunately, the initial reports said that he's in the SD Yemen, which is a notorious torture camp facility. But we don't have any accurate status on his location at this point. ست إملياس كيفك؟
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
الحمد لله بخير.
Uh,
وينك؟ مهم.
كيف صحتك انت؟ الله يعينك. البقية بحياتك في ابنك وفي الحجة اللي توفت.
شكرا مساكم.
الله يعينكم، الله يقويكم، الله يقويكم.
يا
طبعا
رب
الوضع
إن شاء
صعب.
الله. شكرا مساكم.
آه
والله صعب كثير.
طبعا طبعا. ان شاء الله الله بفرجها قريب على الدكتور، وان شاء الله هي عندنا
إن شاء الله.
الحاضرين هون ان شاء الله بيحاولوا، كل الناس في العالم ان شاء الله ما شاء الله الكل، يعني الكل
شكرا.
بيعتبر دكتور حسام بطل وقدوة إلنا كنا، واحنا كلنا فخورين فيه. مزبوط قلقلين عليه، مزبوط. ان شاء الله بيرجع بسلامته، بس كلنا فخورين فيه. الدكتور حسام كان قدوة، مش بس إلنا كفلسطينيين، قدوة للعالم كله، قدوة لكل الأطباء في العالم. احنا كنا بنسمع من
صحيح
الدكتور
والله.
حسام آخر كم شهر، والحمد لله عمره ما حكى شيء بزعل. عمره ما حكى شيء خارج مهنته وخارج إخلاصه
صحيح.
لأهله،
صحيح.
لبلده، لوطنه، ولمرضاه. والتهم اللي بيتهموها على الدكتور حسام هي بس مجرد انه كطبيب رفض انه يترك مرضاه، رفض يترك المستشفى تاعه ويتخلى عنهم ويتركهم بدون علاج. So
صحيح.
I'm talking to Al- Albina, Dr. Hussam wife, and she again is worried about her husband. She's very sad about the loss of her son. Again, she's urging us to do all what we can to help him. They're all proud of him, proud of who he is. He is really a hero, and he is a role model, a great role model for us as people, and for our profession as healthcare workers, as doctors who refuse to do but to do the right thing, which is to be human, to stay with your patients, refuse to abandon your patients, refuse to abandon your duty, and as much as we are worried about Dr. Hussam, we are really proud of him, and he is our teacher and he's our guide. طيب ست ألبينا، أنت في عندك الجنسية كازاخستانية صح؟
صحيح. صحيح. أنا وولادي معنا كلنا جنسية كازاخستانية.
والدكتور
صحيح.
حسام برضه معاه الجنسية
لا لا، هو ما في عنده جنسية. هو كان يدرس في كازاخستان، وكان اللي خلص الماجستير في كازاخستان، واللي بصراحة يعني بشامل جنسية. كان يدرس يعني كالطالب، يعني كان يسكن هناك بس بشامل جنسية رسمية.
طيب أنا بعرف إنه انعرض عليكم وعلى الدكتور حسام إنه تتركوا غزة وتروحوا على كازاخستان. شو اللي
صحيح.
صار؟
صحيح. 3 مرات 3 مرات يعني كان طلع لنا ترخيل، واللي قالوا لي يعني ممكن نسافر. أول شيء حكوا لنا بس اللي أنا وولادي عشان معنا جنسية، وأنا طبعا طلبت يعني لجوزي كمان، وقالوا حاضر يعني بنسافرك أنت وجوزك كمان. واللي لما حكيت لدكتور حسام يعني خلينا نسافر يعني من بداية الحرب، ولكن هو رفض الموضوع هذا كلها يعني. وحتى في النهاية كمان يعني السنة هذا في شهر 11 و12 كنا بنقدم الترحيل، ولكن هو رفض الموضوع كلها يعني نهائيا. قال أنا بطلعش من المستشفى طول ما فيها المرضى، طول ما فيها مصابين، طول ما فيها السكان حوالي المستشفى وإحنا موجودين الناس، إحنا لازم نقدم الخدمة للمرضى. يعني ما رضي يطلع نهائيا، يعني رفض هذا السفر نهائيا. بل هو الاستمرار في الخدمة الإنسانية. يعني كل شغله كان بس مساعدة للمرضى والمصابين.
So
يعني كلها تفكير.
خليني أترجم للحضور. So Dr.
تمام.
Hussam's family and his wife and his kids, they all have the Kazakhstan citizenship, and they were offered 3 times to evacuate and leave Gaza. And every time Dr. Hussam refused to leave because he refused to abandon his patients. And he said they will never leave as long as there are patients, there are people in Gaza who need him. اوكي ست البينا، ايش كمان حابي شو حابي تطلبي من الدكاترة اللي هون حاضرين معنا؟
والله شكرا لكم كثير على جهودكم، شكرا لكم كثير. احنا بس نطلب يعني بصراحة يعني احنا هم اللي طلعونا يعني بطريقة هيك اللي كاذبة، يعني ما فكرناش بده يصير اللي هيك. احنا كان الدكتور انتوا كلكم يمكن بتعرفوا دايما بناشد على اللي كل اللي على اللي منظمة الصحة العالمية، وكان عندنا يعني دايما على تنسيق مع الجيش الإسرائيلي، والمستشفى كنا دايما شغالة، وهو كان دايما بناشد في داخل المستشفى. يعني ما كانش اللي ساب المكان اللي عمله نهائيا، يعني ما كانش طالع خارج المستشفى، ودايما بناشد للمستشفى. بس اللي في الآخر لما قالوا لنا لازم إحنا بننقل كلنا لمستشفى إندونيسي، وإحنا وافقنا وقلنا خلاص بدنا نطلع للمستشفى إندونيسي، ولكن في الآخر يعتقلوا. يعني إحنا بصراحة بدنا نعرف أول إشي مكان وجوده، وتاني بدنا نشوف كيف اللي صحته، يعني بدنا نشوف كيف الحالة الصحية عنده. يعني قبل هو كان مصاب وعنده ارتفاع ضغط المزمن، يعني لازم ياخد العلاج، وإحنا بصراحة قلقانين عليه كتير يعني، بس بدنا نطمن عليه على الأقل. واللي طبعا اللي فك الأسرة هو، يعني هو ما كانش يعني يعمل إشي غلط، هو كان العمل كلها طبيب الإنساني، يعني يقدم الخدمة للمرضى.
So Elias is saying that they did not really expect the what happened because Dr. Hussam and his colleagues were only providing medical care to their patients. They did not do anything wrong, and they were always open about what they are doing, and they were having cameras check the status of the hospital every day, and they were sharing the messages with the whole world that all what they're asking for is to stop bombing the hospital, not to threaten the healthcare, and allow them to continue their mission to help their patients and the victims of this genocide. So they did not really expect this outcome. They did not expect Israel will eventually, bomb the hospital and invade the hospital and put it on fire, because even before this, they were in contact with the Israelis, and at one point they agreed to relocate to the Indonesian hospitals, and Dr. Hussam and his colleagues, and they all agreed about that. But they were surprised on the day of the attack that Israeli forces, the genocidal forces, backed on their words, and instead of allowing everyone to evacuate, they ended up bombing the hospital, killing many healthcare workers and patients, forcing everyone else to flee, and abducting almost 240 people, including Dr. Hussam and many of his colleagues on that day. Again, their main demand is, first of all, to know exactly where he is being detained. Number two, to check on his safety, because he has multiple medical problems and he's taking medication, so they are really worried about his health. And they are urging each of us, any one of us who can help with this, anyone who has access, to at least make sure that he's safe, that in good health, and know exactly where he is. إلياس، ايش كمان حابة تحكي معنا اليوم؟ ايش كمان ممكن تساعدك بأي شيء ثاني؟
إيه، احنا يعني بصراحة احنا قلقانين على دكتور كتير، يعني هو طبعا مش اول دكتور ولا الاخر، يعني هم اخذوا كتير الدكاترة، بس اللي احنا يعني بصراحة قلقانين، ويعني احنا مش شايفين عليه الغلط. يعني احنا كنا ماشيين يعني مع الامر الجيش الاسرائيلي، وكان بين يعني تقريبا اخر 3 شهور بين كان تنسيق يعني بين بين منظمة الصحة العالمية والجيش الإسرائيلي، وإحنا كلنا عملنا كل شيء إيش بدهم هم، بس يسيبوا المستشفى يعني في حالها وخلينا نعالج المرضى. ولكن في الآخر يعني مش عارف الكذبوا علينا ويعتقلوا الدكتور يعني بالطريقة يعني مش عارف. انا بس اللي بدي اعرف اللي زي قلنا لك يا في الاول، بدنا نطمن عليه، نعرف اللي الرسمي وين هو موجود. احنا بدناش نسمع من اللي كل واحد بيحكي لنا الشكل، اللي ما فيش اللي رسمي يعني وجوده، وبدنا قلقانين عليه عشان اللي يعني هو محتاج العلاج، يعني عنده ضغط اللي عالي، اللي دم ارتفاع في الضغط، اللي دم ضغط المزمن، وكان عنده إصابته في رجله، يعني بدنا نطمن عليه، وكان محتاج العملية. وبصراحة يعني مش عمل إشي غلط. هذه هي إحنا بنناشد اللي لكل المؤسسات الدولية وكل مؤسسات الحقوق الإنسان إفراج عنه، إفراج اللي يفك الأسرة هون.
So
وشكرا لكم.
Elias is again saying that they are very worried about his health because he has multiple health problems. He's taking medications, and he also has the injury that he sustained to his thigh that did not heal yet. They are worried about the health and the safety of his colleagues who are also abducted with him. Again, she is reiterating that they were really shocked and surprised because in the last few months they were coordinating everything with the Israeli soldiers, and they were in agreement and they were obeying the demands, and that the only ask they had from them is just to leave the hospital alone and protect the patient, the healthcare workers. They were not doing anything wrong. They were very open and transparent about everything that has been going on in the hospital. ست ألبينا انتوا هلا انتوا تشعروا بأمان انتوا هلا ولا في قصف عندكم؟ في قصف بعده لسه عندكم المنطقة هذه؟
في أنا طلعت على الغرب من الشمال، أنا طلعت على الغرب.
When okay. So she and her family are still not safe. They had to forcibly, they were, they had to move to the west, trying to look for a safer area. But as we all know, there is no place that is safe in Gaza. I think I lost the connection with them. As we said earlier, the internet is not strong, but at least we got an idea about what's the situation. She and her family are still at risk. They are not safe, and they're worried about the safety of Dr. Hussam and his colleagues and everyone in Gaza. So thank you everyone for being here, for hearing the message from them direct from Gaza. And let's all together continue to unite our voices, brainstorm, try to do everything we can in any direction we can to help those people, vulnerable people in Gaza who did nothing wrong. They were transparent with the Israeli soldiers and the authorities all the way along, and they were coordinating with them everything. Dr. Hussam was sending videos almost every day about the hospital, inside the hospital, the patients, the healthcare workers. Nothing is hidden there. Nothing is done, behind the scenes. And despite all of this, despite the agreement, and they agreed to relocate to the Indonesian hospital, as usual, Israel backed down on their offer, on their agreement, and they stormed them, and they ended up destroying the whole hospital and killing many patients, many healthcare workers, and abducting the others. I think I lost the connection with the family now. So let's go ahead with our schedule. We can come back and talk about Dr. Hussam. And again, please, these are our colleagues, these are our people, and it is our job to advocate for them. Dr. Hawash, what's our next?
I just wanted to emphasize that we just heard a very graceful lady with her son telling us how Dr. Abu-Safiya did nothing wrong, and yet he was beaten, tortured, and incarcerated and not allowed to see his lawyer. He's not the only one. There are many other doctors who have very similar stories. Dr. Hussam was very well connected. He was able to connect with us, and we knew his story. But he is one of many, unfortunately. And another doctor is Dr. Ahmed Mhanna, the director of Al Auda Hospital, who has been kidnapped for over 300 days, and we still do not know anything about him. So we have to do everything we can to stop this. And when I say we can, everything we can, it is because we live in the West and we have the ability to connect with the people who can actually stop this. So we want us all to work together tirelessly and not just say, well, there's nothing we can do. In fact, there is a lot we can do. And I urge every one of you to work together, organize, make plans, brainstorm, talk to people who you think have an influence, and let's get this to an end. This is lasting for way longer than any atrocity that we have experienced, and especially with healthcare. And it's just whenever you hear a lady like Alina or the children, you just cannot sit and pretend that nothing is happening. That is what I wanted. Thank you, Nidal, for
Thank you, Karameh.
making the connection with our people in Gaza. You're always so good at making sure that you are connected with them, that you speak to them on a regular basis, and you never forget to check on them. So I really appreciate you for that. And we do not have Dr. Elisa with us today, so inshallah we will have her another time. But we actually met a friend on the Hill, nurse practitioner Olena Murthy, and we really wanted to bring her voice here with us as a member of Doctors Against Genocide and as a staunch advocate for the fight against genocide. Olena, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, my name is Olena Murthy, and I'm very honored to speak at this meeting organized by Doctors Against Genocide. I welcome you all here. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us. And my heart goes to Dr. Abu-Safiya's family and the family of all healthcare workers and doctors who have been abducted. I wish I can do anything to help, and I think we'll continue to fight with them, and we are crying with them, and we
Olena,
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Can you try without the headphones? Might be
the headphone.
clear.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me just turn up the video. 1 minute. So can you hear me well?
It's perfect now. Yes, thank you. And Olena,
Okay.
you are
So
Ukrainian,
again, I'm a US
Ukrainian
citizen.
American.
I'm born in Ukraine, and I'm also a nurse practitioner at Mass General Hospital in Boston. Before starting my career in healthcare, I had my master's degree from a history university in Ukraine. And throughout all these years, my passion for the history has always remained. When the mass-scale genocide began, I took time to study Palestinian history and Israeli establishment as an apartheid state. I listened to interviews of very prominent historians, writers, activists who wrote about Gaza. After collective punishment of Palestinian people unfolded last year with daily catastrophic civilian casualties, I knew from the prehistory and from the genocidal intentions of Israeli government officials that this would be the worst humanitarian disaster of the Palestinian people in their history. I've lived through the horrors of war in Ukraine, through experiences of my family and friends, and I feel like with all my heart that the cause of Palestinian liberation from an apartheid regime is inseparable for me from the cause of liberation of Ukrainian civilians from the oppressive regime and all minorities from oppressive regimes. Last year, I aimed to create a petition at Mass General Hospital leadership to release a statement on our healthcare, about the healthcare and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Also, I was informed that creating a petition among my colleagues is not possible on hospital grounds and with our work emails. I was referred to our hospital leadership team. I asked them to release a statement last year raising an awareness of healthcare and humanitarian crisis in Gaza and West Bank. And I requested that they let me share resources to support healthcare workers and civilians in Gaza, as they did let me share the resources for Ukrainian citizens when the war in Ukraine started. While initially eager to speak to me, they completely ignored my email request. I was shocked by the silence of the hospital leadership during this unprecedented violence. Every day hearing news reports on hospitals being bombed, supplies limited, and stories such as patients undergoing surgical procedures without anesthesia. The biggest irony that during the invasion of Ukraine many years ago, the MGH leadership released many emails to support Ukrainian people and healthcare workers. This is reflective of an attitude that many institutions and corporations in America have. To me, this reflects this country's greed that our institutions and government would rather support the rich war industry than prioritize civilian lives. As we all are, I'm very sick of silence of the hospital leadership during this unprecedented violence. I'm sick of genocide of Palestinian people, funded by our tax dollars and supported by propaganda in the US media. I live every day, like we all, with images of children and families getting killed and wounded, dying from hunger, cold, and lack of humanitarian aid in Gaza. As many of us have done, I've donated to many nonprofit organizations that help civilians in Gaza. I called multiple times to my Congresswoman, Catherine Clark, and my Massachusetts senators asking to stop genocide. But unfortunately, the government has failed to stop unconditional weapons transfer to Israel and failed to allow humanitarian aid of people of Gaza, and it failed us as the civilians of the United States and citizens of the United States. This is why I joined the Global Coalition of Doctors Against Genocide. On January 8th, I came with the coalition to the Capitol Hill to demand from our government officials to stop genocide of Palestinians, release Dr. Abu-Safiya and other over 450 Palestinian healthcare workers. We met at the Senator's Heart Building lobby, where we were faced with a police harassment to arrest us for, just like taking a group photo. Despite the police hostility, we were able to visit many senators and congressmen and deliver our message. I visited a staffer at our office of my Congresswoman, Catherine Clark, who sounded supportive of the Palestinian cause. As a Ukrainian American, I stand in solidarity with people of Palestine. I believe that American people, the liberation of Palestinians should be looked through the same lens as the civil rights movement. I urge all civil rights advocates and groups, medical organizations, and people who uphold the values of humanity over corporate greed to join our movement of Doctors Against Genocide, supported by human rights organizations. We need to demand our lawmakers to do everything possible to stop genocide of Palestinian people, release Palestinian healthcare workers, and Dr. Hussam illegally detained in Israeli prison. And we also demand the restoration of healthcare system in Gaza. We are asking all members of the Organization of Doctors Against Genocide and all other human rights organizations, please join us at our next Capitol Hill event on February 19, Wednesday. We need hundreds on the Hill. Thank you for this privilege and honor to speak at this event.
Thank you, Olena. Thank you for your great voice, for your brave voice, for your advocacy. We really appreciate you, and we agree with you that all civilians need to be protected the same, whether they are here or in Ukraine or in Gaza. We all know that the civilians, the poor people, the vulnerable people are the ones who end up paying the price for the corrupt, unethical politicians who care about their political survival, and the elites and the military-industrial complex who care about their profit over life. They don't value the Ukrainian people's life, to be honest, because they want to sell more weapons. They don't value the Palestinian life or any life in the global South, because their profit and their supremacy is their number one goal. Thank you for being a strong voice. Thank you for joining us on the Hill, and we would be honored to see you again February 19th, and we are really inviting all our colleagues, healthcare workers, doctors, supporters to join us February 19th for our upcoming visit to the Hill to pressure the politicians to do the right thing. And our demands are not miraculous, are not impossible. All what they're asking is to protect civilians, protect children, protect hospitals, protect doctors, healthcare workers. These should not be controversial demands. These are the basic humanitarian demands everywhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karameh.
Yeah, thanks, Nidal. And thank you, Olena. You are so special. And it was a pleasure to see you and spend time with you last week. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Mariam Kamal. Dr. Mariam Kamal is the founder of Animal Healthcare Workers Against Genocide. I also met her on the Hill last Advocacy Day, and she's a very impressive young woman. She has a lot to say. I learned a lot from her. She is a vet who earned her doctorate at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Above all, she is a human who appreciates nature, environment, the animals, the pets. And I think she is a very, very effective voice against genocide. And I invite her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her work. Mariam?
Thank you so much, Dr. Hawash. It is a very big honor to speak here at this meeting today. I also want to thank Olena and all the other speakers. Olena, you spoke so well and covered so much in such a short time. That was incredible. And I agree with everything you said. And also, I know that Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya's family is no longer on the line, but I just want to say that also from myself personally and our organization, we are doing everything we can and will continue to do so. In terms of our organization, Animal Healthcare Workers Against Genocide, it is a group led by veterinarians, so founded by myself and 5 other veterinarians, and we have very diverse backgrounds within our founders and also our members. So within our founders, we have different religions, different ethnic backgrounds from East Asia, South Asia, Europe, Arab, and we also, one of my co-founders is one of the few Palestinian American veterinarians here in the US. In our members, we have veterinarians, veterinary nurses, veterinary students, but then also people who work with animals. So people like dog trainers, zookeepers, people who are pet owners, vegans, other animal advocates. So whoever you are, our slogan is, if you love animals and hate genocide, you are welcome to our organization. So please join. You can find us here at the Instagram that I put, sorry, I don't know how to point to it, but it's on the background. And you can go there, you can find our link tree, and you can join our email list, see our website, and all the other things. But before you do that, you might want to learn a little bit about some things that people get confused about. I want to share some new things that you haven't heard before about our organization and why we would want to be involved in the fight against genocide. So people learn about us and then they think that we're involved because our primary concern is the animal suffering in places where genocide is occurring. And of course, we care deeply about the animal suffering, and we are devastated by it. And we are fighting that. And also, as human beings, our primary concern is the human suffering of genocide. So we are fighting both the human suffering and the animal suffering. So in the next few minutes, I want to share with you a few things that you don't know. First, 3 reasons why a veterinarian would want to be involved in this fight. I'm going to tell you 2 things you don't know about vets and save the most important reason for last. The first thing is we have a concept called One Health, and it means that, for example, you, Dr. Jabour, and you, Dr. Hawash, are my colleagues in One Health. It means that One Health is that human health, animal health, and environmental health are all connected. So we are shoulder to shoulder because we are together protecting everyone and also our environment, our entire society. So my responsibility is to protect humanity. Yes, Dr. Hawash, I think you have your hand up. Did you want to say something?
I was trying to send you a heart, so it was a hand.
Okay. But to protect humanity as well as animals and the environment. The second thing is our oath. So a lot of people don't know that the oath we take as veterinarians and veterinary nurses, it comes with a promise to protect public health. Not just animal health, all of public health. So if there is a genocide happening and I am not doing everything in my power to stop it, I am actually not honoring my oath as a veterinarian. And I want to say something else about the public health component is that the veterinarians in Gaza have that same pledge. So they also are there to promote and protect public health. And you need to remember that veterinarians make life for human beings possible and safe and healthy. So every animal you interact with every day, whether directly or indirectly, imagine your pets, how they contribute to your mental and emotional health. That is made possible by a veterinarian. Imagine all of the things in your diet that might come from animal products like meat and dairy. That is made possible by a veterinarian to come to your table. Imagine the animals that go through your backyard that might have things like rabies and leptospirosis and giardia and all sorts of other communicable diseases. Your safety in your environment is made possible. That public health aspect is made possible also by veterinarians. So a lot of people don't realize that human well-being is very much part of our lives. And that's very much true for our colleagues in Gaza, which is why we're not only worried for our animal healthcare worker colleagues in Gaza. There were about, maybe in October 2023, about 130 veterinarians estimated to be in Gaza. We don't know how many more of our colleagues are still there. We don't know how many veterinary practices remain. We do know that the people who are still treating animals in Gaza have almost nothing to treat them with and are still incredible healers and doing wonderful, miraculous work. But that's the second reason, is our oath. And then the third reason, and most important, is that I am a human being. So if Dr. Hawash or Dr. Jabour, if you see an animal suffering in the street in front of you, you'll go help it, right? You're not a veterinarian, but you will go help. Same for me. I am not a physician. I am not someone who's directly involved in human health or human rights, but it's my duty as a human being to do everything in my power to help. And that brings me to my message to everyone listening today, to the viewer. It doesn't have anything to do with being a veterinarian or a healthcare worker. This is a one-on-one between me and you, is that if you are watching this, you are a leader and you need to take on that role and own it in this movement, starting from today and going forward. If you are watching this and you are listening to this, you are not meant to be on the sidelines in this fight. I honestly did not want to start an organization. I am an introvert. I would much rather be at home with my cat than be on Capitol Hill. But I saw that nobody else in my profession was doing it. And so I stepped up and decided to do it. Because now is not the time to wait for someone else to lead. Now is the time for you to lead. No matter who you are, your age, what kind of work you do, this is relevant to all of us. I can make this very relevant to my profession. I can talk about the over 50,000 living species that exist in Palestine. Over 30,000 of them are wild animals, beautiful animals like gazelles and wolves and otters and hedgehogs, porcupines, little adorable bats. I can talk about how the weapons industry, the war and genocide industry, is not only destroying all our ecosystems, but the carbon emissions of war and genocide are the worst drivers of climate change on our entire planet. It's killing all of us. And I can talk about how BlackRock owns a portion of every major veterinary drug company in the United States. So when your pets go to the doctor and get their shots, that is making money for BlackRock. And I'm not saying to stop doing that. I'm saying we have to start having conversations because this is so big and so pervasive. You have to talk to your veterinarian and say that you have to talk to fellow pet owners and say that you know this information, because that's the only way that we can start cracking the dam on this. I can talk about how in genocide, animals are targeted to create human suffering, like, for example, farm animals, where this happens in the Congo as well. But Israelis are intentionally shooting and poisoning farm animals to make it impossible for farmers to have sustenance, for people to have sustenance, for the people who depend on the farmers to have food. And I can talk about how we as veterinarians here in the West, in the United States, take care of some of the most privileged animals on the planet. And then those tax dollars made from that care goes to murder children and imprison and abduct and torture healthcare workers in Gaza. And those tax dollars and our money went to go provide the tanks that Dr. Abu-Safiya confronted. So this is relevant to all of us. It comes full circle. And if you're listening right now, you are a leader. And you have to take on that role. It is your duty. It doesn't matter if you're a healthcare worker or not. So I just want to say a few last things and wrap up. We really need to bring new people into our movement, okay? New people, that means we need to continue on social media, but off of social media, we have to be doing work. So yes, keep doing the protests, the social media, Capitol Hill, everything, but we need new people also doing new things, spreading the truth to new people every day. And one thing you can easily do to break the ice with whoever it is by printing out the reports from places like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Doctors Without Borders, UN OCHA, the Office for Coordination of Human Affairs. They have a situation update multiple times a week. I printed out the most recent one when I went to Capitol Hill. It's long, it's detailed. You can highlight portions of it and use it to start conversations with people, because there are still people out there today. Somebody just made a comment yesterday on our post about on Animal Healthcare Workers Against Genocide about standing for Dr. Abu-Safiya, and they are saying, oh, well, he is a militant and this hospital is a military base. And then people need to be educated. This is a real account from like a dog trainer who's thinking these things still 15 months into the most active phase of a 76-year-old genocide. So we all need to be educating people out in the real world off of the internet. And you can print out these reports and bring it with you everywhere and highlight it and share it with people, because when they try to start telling you, and these meetings that Doctors Against Genocide is having every week are extremely helpful, because you can also say things like, I listened to Dr. Mark Perlmutter, I listened to Dr. Mimi Sayed, I listened to Dr. Mads Gilbert. I know these people they've worked at these hospitals and they have not seen any militant activity. So this is all propaganda and this is false. And this is things that we need to be educating other people on. So I just want to wrap up. I don't want to take too much time, but please go and join our organization if you love animals and you hate genocide. Our Instagram is @AnimalWag, Animal WAG. And from there, you can find our link tree in our bio, and please join our email list because we have a lot of updates coming. And also we will be on the Hill February 19th again with Doctors Against Genocide. So please, again, join us if you love animals, you hate genocide. You don't have to be a healthcare worker. You can come join on the Hill February 19th. And the biggest takeaway from me today at least, if you learn anything from me today, please learn that you are a leader, and whoever you are, you need to step up your game, because as Dr. Hawash was saying, this has gone on way too long. It's completely unacceptable.
Thank you, Mariam. This was amazing. And yes, I encourage everyone to follow Mariam and her organization. They're doing great work. And I think it really resonates with a lot of people, especially who have pets and who care about animals. Dr. Nidal, we have the best for last. We saved Dr. Pedroni, and Dr. Jbour will introduce Thomas Pedroni, our friend and our supporter.
Thank you, Karameh. And I want to also thank Dr. Mariam and Dr. Murthy. Every day we listen to you, we learn something new. We really appreciate your presence. We appreciate your voice. We appreciate your clear message. And as Mariam and Olena said, each one of us is a leader. Our Prophet Muhammad in Islam said, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. What Mariam said actually reminded me of that Prophet saying, which means each one of us is responsible, and each one of us is responsible for the people around him. So there is no excuse. And if we don't elevate and live up to the moment now, during the time of the first live stream genocide in history, when do you think we are going to do so? It is now. And whoever does not mobilize now, who does not see the humanity in all of us the same, and the need for protecting all humans the same, all animals the same, or our planet, or our globe and climate, then I don't think they will ever wake up And if they do, it will gonna be too little, too late. And again, as Dr. Hawash said, the last is for the least. Now is with my personal friend, Dr. Pedroni. We kept you at the end on purpose because we were talking, all of us as doctors and healthcare workers, and we need a brain outside of this system to give us. We don't want to be just blind spots and live with, what the doctors, healthcare workers are talking about. We need also a lifelong activist and advocate who also sees the bigger picture from other angles to help us. I'm honored to introduce my friend, Professor Thomas Pedroni. He's Associate Professor of Curriculum Studies and Policy Sociology at Wayne State University in Detroit. His research, look at his research, centers on Black community resistance to racial capitalist urban displacement, particularly in matters of educational policy. In the fall, Tom coordinated a Voices for Palestine film series at his university, and we met at one of those events.
Exactly.
We are really grateful for you, Tom. He's gonna help us talk about how all of us can work together to help stop the genocide, to free Palestine through exposing and reversing complicity from the healthcare sector to higher education sector and beyond.
Yeah.
Dr. Pedroni, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very, very.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I can't tell you how fortunate a moment in my life it was when I came across Dr. Jabour, when he was generous enough to come to one of our films and speak and then subsequently serve on several panels. It's brought me into this family of Doctors Against Genocide, Healthcare Workers for Palestine, and all the affiliated people and organizations. And it has been momentous for me. It's life-changing for me. And it's made me more hopeful, both for ending this genocide, for freeing Palestine, and for global struggle across multiple sectors for people and living things all over the world. So this has been so big to me. I'm so glad that out of the horrors of the genocide, relationships like this come together, and they're relationships that will outlast the genocide. They will outlast the advent of a free Palestine. They will be in place for other mobilizations, because the relationships that are formed now don't simply go away. They've been concretized. And this is one of the real blind spots of colonialism, imperialism, racial capitalism, whatever we want to describe it, is the relationships that we are building, which are longstanding and will outlast what is going on right now. So my core question is how do we go about effectively building coalitions for Palestine across sectors: health, higher education, housing, water, and other infrastructure, religious and cultural institutions, journalistic formations, and so on? And why should we do so? What are the advantages of further building out such coalitions, and what are the potential drawbacks of doing it? So let me start this way. And I've said some of this, but it's worth repeating. I didn't know you writ large in this call existed 6 months ago. And by this, I don't just mean Doctors Against Genocide and Healthcare Workers for Palestine and other allied organizations. What I mean is, I didn't know a radical and critical medical and health discourse existed to counter imperialism, colonialism, and racial neoliberalism, with Palestine as a critical node in a larger liberatory struggle in the field of health and medicine. I didn't know that. And perhaps many or even most of you didn't know that a parallel radical discourse exists in education and many other fields. What a powerful moment of growth for me as I met Dr. Jabour and then became part of this community as well through the film series. So what I want to briefly talk about in this matter of how do we build coalitions across sectors is I want to talk across sectors about 5 issues that I think affect all sectors, all the various sectors that I've named, certainly the health sector, certainly the higher education sector. Divestment strategies, and I'll give a little more detail about each of these. I want to list them first. So the first is divestment strategies. The second is countering silencing and erasure. The third is congruency across sectors in the ways that we build solidarity with Palestine. I thought I had 5, but I'll keep it short. We only have 4 for today, I guess. And finally, building toward a broad general strike if necessary. Okay, so that's the piece too to remember about this, is that as we build these relationships, we don't know if we will need to go to a broad general strike across all areas, but building these relationships is what will make that a tool within our kit that we can exercise if we have the relationships in place. So let me first talk about investment as a form of complicity, the investments of our institutions with which we work, and obviously the related strategy of divestment for those of us who are struggling for Palestine and against other colonial imperial evils. So first thing to recognize is certainly both hospitals and other medical clinics, other medical institutions, and the higher education sector have tremendous endowments and savings. Now, in the higher education sector, specifically in the student-led, and I always have to applaud the students, the student-led divestment movement at Wayne State University, which is obviously coordinated with the other divestment movements across the country. The response from the higher education leadership, the board, so-called, the board of governors and university presidents, provosts, and so on, financial people, is that even if they wanted to, and there's that crucial question of them wanting to, even if they wanted to, they couldn't divest because it's a different era than it was during the anti-apartheid struggle, and the way that investments work is different. And so they'll point to the fact that, you know, some institutions but most institutions do not have so many singular investments in, you know, we are invested in Boeing, we are invested in Raytheon or so on. But instead, the way that they are invested in these corporations is through index funds. And so they'll, you know, our local institution will say something like, and has said something like, well, how can we divest? You know, we only have these index funds for like an S&P 500 index fund, of which many of these genocidal players are some of the, it's actually, I think, 509 corporations. We can't do that because we can't just tell this, you know, our investment partner who coordinates all of this to divest from, you know, from singular things. We have broad investments in index funds. They're bigger, larger pots. And so it's too complicated. And they say, you know, it would be such a small thing anyway for us to divest from. Well, the fact of the matter is I'm tired of people who have a lot of power claiming that they are powerless, especially in the face of genocide. And think about it. Across the higher education sector, the value of endowments is close to $1 trillion. It's approximately $800 billion, according to recent statistics. Are you telling me that if there weren't demands that were generated by students and others to sign on to a certain clause about we as universities together are going to make a demand of these institutional investors that we hire, these third parties, that you must make index funds available to us that are catered to our need, right? So it's this, you know, one university president, one board of governors may not have the power and the sway with some of these big investment companies that handle this for higher education institutions to do that. But if there were a common demand that emanated among students to say that, you know, we want the investors to create these special index funds for us, when you wield that sort of financial power as the sector does, then you can get results. And I don't care how little or small the fact that, you know, we're talking about 9 or 10 of the most evil companies among 509 that we want to divest from, it's still at that level a very, very meaningful and impactful statements. Now, I don't know the way that hospitals have endowments or have investments or have grants, but I'm imagining that there are some similarities, right? And I would imagine that's the same across various other sectors, that if we can have an intelligent conversation about how do we make demands, not about what an individual institution should be doing, but as a conglomerate across the sector or even across many sectors, then I think that universities will will lose the escape that they've had so far of saying, well, even if we wanted to, we couldn't really do this. It's not realistic. So, but of course, investments are only one of the forms of complicity. There are other forms of complicity, which we all know very well. Shared boards between defense contractors and hospitals. There would be a huge value of us doing some network mapping across sectors. Who sits on the board of weapons manufacturers? Who is also on the board of hospitals? Who's also on university boards of governors and regents, who are also connected to these elected officials? Sort of a power mapping, network mapping. The same with grants. Where does the funding come from? What are the relationships? The interpersonal relationships, which are very important, and then also what are the monetary relationships? So that's the second, is other forms of complicity. The third is countering silencing in our institutions, all right? So in medicine, in hospitals, in universities, and I'm sure in many of those other sectors, journalism is one I mentioned, there is an allowable discourse, and there's precarity by stepping outside of the allowable discourse. How do we create strategies in our various institutions to break that? What does it take? What lessons can we learn from each other across sectors that make it more, because there's some of us, the Nidal Jabours, the Karamehs, the others on this call who are extremely not risk averse. Is that the right? No. Yeah, they're extremely courageous. But not everyone is in that position. We have to remember that building a movement doesn't mean separating the truly brave from others. It means drawing the others in. And some of that is about saying, well, if we stepped out and survived, then maybe you can do so as well. Making it a safer space, making it a welcoming space. That we need to build momentum is not just about having something done on a weekly basis. It's also about growing as you do so. And I think that our last speaker also touched on this, right? How do you bring in other people, different people with different energies, like I think my relationship to DAG represents. The fourth is congruency across sectors in solidarity with Palestine. So how do we partner with sectors in Gaza, for example? Clearly what DAG has done is, and the other affiliated organizations, is pioneer a building of relationships with hospitals and medical institutions and even particular doctors in Gaza. That could be done analogously in other sectors. It could be done in education, with all of the universities destroyed, all of the schools destroyed. How could that be a model that we then put not only in education and health, but also, what does it mean to have solidarity among people who work in water infrastructure or electrical infrastructure, or again, journalism or whatever else it might be? It's true that the health sector in Gaza is more urgent in the moment, in the short term, because it's challenged to help meet even the most basic needs of survival and keeping your limbs and eating and all of these things. But we have to remember that in the longer term, the idea of education is about the formation of knowledge, right? About what is ethical, about what's happening, how it can be resisted and changed. That happens within the educational domain. So the educational sector has been vital both in sustaining the genocide, think about the brainwashing of Americans and Israelis, but also resisting it. We're in a struggle for the soul of the education sector, just as we are in a struggle for the soul of hospitals and other healthcare infrastructure. We're in a struggle for the soul of journalism. We're in the struggle over the soul of government, whatever else we might want to put in there. So one of the things that came so powerfully in recent weeks that grew organically out of the organizing that we've seen in DAG is a statement like this: if this hospital were in Gaza, it would be rubble. This is brilliant. And it can be brought across other sectors as well. If this university were in Gaza, it would be rubble. If this school were in Gaza, it would be rubble. If this water treatment plant were in Gaza, it would be rubble, and so on and so forth. Remember that healthcare workers have been targeted, so have educators. We've, Salivate, Refat Al-Rir, and many others. The numbers of professors and teachers who have died has been tremendous. But we know that when they're targeting infrastructure, they're also targeting journalists. They're also targeting sanitation plants. They're targeting power plants. So again, how do we build relationships between the American, or even in a global way, the European, the South American sectors and the Gazan sector as a way of broadening our movement? We have to remember with the education example that Israel targets the intellect as much as it targets the body. It seeks to maim and debilitate both, right? And this form of silencing and erasure is a form of maiming and debilitating the intellect. Right now, there's a lot of movement in the health sector, thanks to the work of people on this call. There isn't a lot of movement right now in higher education. Things are at a real lull. But we have to remember that in many ways, the students sparked us, right? The students were a very important spark last spring. And things, for complicated reasons, are not as active right now. And we are much more active. That's why I needed this. I needed to be connected to this energy because I'm having trouble to bring a lot of my colleagues along, for example. So I needed this input and energy. Maybe we can be a spark. Maybe we are a spark now for other sectors as well, including reinvigorating the higher education sector. I guess I want to move on to so if we are building the solidarity across sectors, we're also building the interpersonal infrastructure for, if it's needed, an eventual general strike, right? So ideally, a general strike would not just be healthcare workers. It would be people in these other sectors as well. And the way to build toward that tool, for it to be at our disposal, a general strike, is to build these relationships. I am sure that there are parallel discourses. There are the Nidal Jabours, for example, of the journalism world, who I haven't met, of the urban infrastructure world, who I've never met. There are probably conversations happening. By connecting with them, we can do things like build towards even more effective, build these 5 strategies that we've talked about, and also, if necessary, build towards a general strike. Some of these things I went ahead and touched on before, so I won't repeat them. I mentioned that I would say something about downsides. So what are the downsides of building coalitions? Well, we have to be sure to protect our own agenda. We have to be sure not to compromise, to make ourselves more palatable to potential allies and the coordinating work they do, right? So we have to find ways to identify and connect to those who are operationalizing critical and liberatory discourses in their own sectors. And in doing so, we want to connect to people who have a similar consciousness around colonialism, capitalism, or neoliberalism, the role of race, and also a sense of how to struggle. And I think that I'll stop there. But that's what I really wanted to talk about. Was I have been so inspired. It's been so necessary for me, especially after the lull in the higher education world, to connect to all of you. And how do we make more of these connections across sectors so we can share these really valuable strategies around divestment, around countering countering other forms of complicity, around countering silencing and erasing, building congruency in how we cooperate in solidarity with Palestine, and if necessary, building toward a broad general strike. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Pedroni. Very, very valuable, very informative and educational. And I knew you were going to add to us in the medical community the extra mile that we need to go to be more effective, which is, as you said, solidarity, building networks, working with others. And the bigger our coalitions are, the bigger our reach are, the more impactful we can be. And the importance of power mapping, importance of money, importance of who's controlling this and that, the work on the divestment. This is all intertwined in healthcare and other sectors and education. So we need to keep building these networks, these coalitions, and the bigger we are, the more influential we can be. And as you said, the students were our inspiration. And I really thought that the healthcare should be the ones who started this, but we are grateful to the students because they're usually braver than us. And they took the lead on this. And we know that unfortunately our government went hard against them and in a way, hopefully momentarily just maybe suppress their movement, but I'm sure there's still fire under, there, and it's gonna come back. And I'm glad that we as a healthcare community, maybe too little too late, but at least we are acknowledging our role that we also should be in this fight. We should add our power to this, multi-sector and global fight. Because also, as Dr. Mariam mentioned, it's our humanity, it's our globe, it's our universe, all of us. It's not just about healthcare work. It's not about educators. Not about students. Not about engineers. Not about financial people. It's not about humans, animals, everything. I mean, we're all this together, and unfortunately, the status of the world now is nothing to be proud of. It seems that, whatever systems, whatever institutions, whatever leaderships we have here in the States, in the West especially, and all over the world have failed the world. And it is time for all of us, especially people who have, the good conscience, the people who want to see a better world, a more just world, in Palestine, in Africa, in America, in South America, in Asia, with Rohingya, for everyone, for Uyghurs, everyone who's suffering. It is time for us. It is time for us to be the change, to be the leaders. As Dr. Mariam said, each one of us needs to be the leader and do their part. It doesn't matter how much, but at least try your best, do your best, keep thinking, talk to others, reach out to others, build coalitions, learn from others. So we are really proud, we're really happy that we are learning from you, Dr. Pedroni. And I know that you've been through this, or been in this activism and this type of work much longer than us. So your advice, and you have been really helpful for us in the last few weeks, in the last few months with our advocacy as healthcare workers. We're grateful for that. And we want to keep the momentum with this to free our colleague, Dr. Hussam Abu-Safiya, and the healthcare workers. We have also more actions about the Sick from Genocide campaign, because we are all sick from genocide, not just healthcare workers, educators, students, all human beings are sick from genocide. Anything else, Dr. Pedroni, you want to add?
Just thank you. One final thought again to leave everyone with is these relationships that we're building are so important, and maybe most importantly, they will outlast the struggle to end the genocide and the freedom of Palestine. And I know this from work we did in education. The reason we were so successful in some of our school movements in 2022 was because of relationships that were built in 2014 that we were able to reactivate. And the same thing will happen here.
I just want to add something at the end. So there was a lot of questions about what are we doing to free Dr. Abu-Safiya and the other doctors and medical professionals who are held. So we are activating our webinar that will be sent to the politicians. At the same time, we have a group working together, a group of healthcare workers working together, writing petition to every medical organization, asking them to lead the call for freeing Dr. Abu-Safiya and protect the hospitals and protect the civilians in Gaza. And we will start spreading these letters around our own membership, Doctors Against Genocide, Healthcare Workers for Palestine. Any organization that is interested in joining this, please reach out so that we can have the maximum number of people who are pressing their institutions and their societies. We are making this a very specific ask: free the doctors, call for the protection of medical facilities, to make it more a precise ask that is very difficult to refuse. At the same time, we are using these petitions and we are using these letters to actually, for each one of us, to approach their hospital leadership and ask for a conversation. What are we doing to help our colleagues in Gaza? Are we going to stay silent when every hospital is being destroyed and every doctor is being incarcerated? Let me meet with the CEO of the hospital. Let me meet with the chief of medicine or chief of surgery and talk to them face to face, eye to eye. What are we doing? Are we going to stay silent? And I think we are not doing enough because we did not find our voice even after 15 months of genocide. And now is the time for us to find our voice. That is why we're having these webinars lasting for 3 hours. We want everybody to have the opportunity to engage, everybody to have the opportunity to learn from each other. So we do not feel isolated, we do not feel alone. We want to build our base, we want to build our strength together. Oh, and one more thing that Marie asked me to say. Please sign for the Day on the Hill. It is a very, very powerful way of showing solidarity and actually asking for specific asks from those people who are supposed to be working for us, those elected representatives. We do not work for them. We do not fear them. They work for the people, and they should be held accountable to the people.
So our last visit in the Hill last week, we met with almost 20 congressional offices, and we made our demands clear about ensuring the safety and the freedom of Dr. Hussam and his colleagues. We are writing this letter with a specific ask to those offices and to all the offices of the foreign relations at the Capitol Hill with these specific demands. So we have the petitions going to our elected officials in DC, and we are also having petitions going to our medical institutions and hospitals nationwide. We're going to keep pushing with this to protect the doctors, the healthcare workers, the hospitals, and the children. So please, once we have the petitions ready, if you can sign and share them as far and as wide. And please also join us with our next meeting in DC on February 19th. And numbers, again, I want to remind everyone, numbers matter, especially when it comes to healthcare workers, people coming with their coats, their medical uniforms and scrubs. It does give a strong impression to everyone, to the media, to the politicians. So if you really care, if you really want to help, your voice, your presence does help, does add a lot. And we also need to continue our vigils,
Sick from genocide,
from genocide clinics, and we are having this Geneva Conventions, which is an international healthcare worker advocacy camping in front of the WHO, the UN. We're gonna update you with more information about it. But if anyone who can make it, or anyone you think who can make it, please reach to us and join the movement, or at least share this with your colleagues, see if they can join. We also want to remind you that please support our friends, the Rohingya friends who presented their project to help the victims of genocide in Myanmar. You can donate to them on our website. There is a specific link that goes directly and strictly to their project and to their needs. Hawash, Dr. Hawash, what else?
Yes, Dr. Shbour. I think we're wrapping up. If anyone has a question, they can put it in the chat. Some people were asking about the pins, the Doctors Against Genocide pins that Olena's wearing. We order them in bulk to our addresses, and we have them in our functions. So please join our actions. We will have a conference in Boston, Massachusetts, Rise and Resist. Doctors Against Genocide will have a table. I will have some of these pins, and I can give people some pins. We have events in DC, we have events in Michigan. We're hoping we have events in Colorado. If somebody wants to have an event and wants pins, just reach out to us and we can ship them to you, or we can give you the vendor. It's very hard to put them on the website because they're small and they will take so much time to send for each person. But we have hundreds of them available in events.
Can I add one thing about the pins, Karameh? So, I mean,
Yes.
if you need our quotes, want to order our quotes and our calendar and other merchandise, you can order all of this on our website. There are links for that. So the calendar is really a powerful story of the healthcare workers' resilience, steadfastness, and heroism and sacrifice in Gaza every month. You know, every month talks about what happened last month, that month for the past year, especially from the healthcare workers angle. Palestinian artist Ahmed Khalidi helped us with this, and he made really very impressive artistic paintings to memorize their memory and their sacrifice. So please order the calendar on our website. The only thing you cannot do by order or get by order is the pens. We insist that the pens is something that you have to come and get it in person. And the only way to get this is join our actions, whether in DC or any DAG activity anywhere. We're going to give you the pens for free, but you have to show up. Everything else you can buy. The pens you cannot buy them. You have to come. So really, please come and join us for those.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great.
Any other questions?
I have one comment before we leave. For our friends and members and family members in California, we are thinking of you. The fires have been devastating. I have a lot of friends and family members who live in California. We are thinking of them. Hopefully, this will be over soon. It is devastating, and our hearts and our thoughts are with you.
And the fires in California are due to the global warming that is being fueled by the capitalist system, by the imperialist system that is exploiting the whole world and our existence for their sake. And those who are causing the damage in California or anywhere else in the US or in Canada, as Maysa mentioned, with the homeless lady who froze to death because the higher ups and the hyper elites want to make money. They are making money out of betraying the American people here, the Canadian people, the people in the West, their people here, and by killing and murdering, mass murdering children and doctors and nurses in Gaza, in Africa, and anywhere else. We know that this system has to go because it's killing all of us in Africa, in Asia, in the West, and everywhere. And with all of you, with all your energy, your passion, your moral compass, inshallah, we will achieve this. And as Dr. Pedroni said, we need to build our coalitions, and we need to build coalitions that last beyond temporary crisis, because we will need this for good and forever. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, please reach out to us at info@doctorsagainstgenocide.org. Sign up to our website, our social media, Instagram, and we're happy to hear from you. Any suggestions, anything else we can do, anything we can do better, share, also join our actions, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olena. It was a pleasure meeting you in DC. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll meet again soon.
Thank you.